Hi.
I am sitting here with the one and only Jackie Chan, global superstar, and he is signing all of these books. Are your hands tired?
No, tired, but I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
so
really
happy
happy.
to hear that.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm excited. This is the first time I've done something like this before, a live signing.
Where do I want to go that I've never been? Oh, we're thinking about, not thinking, we're putting it in motion. I'm going to go to Indonesia on my Irresponsible tour this year. I'm excited about that. I've never been. And there's been a heavy demand for me there. So we're going to go. We're going to go to Indonesia and I'm going to make people laugh in Indonesia. That's how I roll. How do you roll? I can't make this up. Wayne, you got your Indonesia pants? I decided it about a good 3 weeks ago. You'll see it on the schedule soon, so I suggest you go get your pants for Indonesia. Because you're not going to wear them stupid pants. Where do you think Indonesia is? India. Yes, we out.
You can see that I'm signing it. This is not some machine scribbling my name. This is my actual human body scribbling my name. So, all right, there we go. First book, signed.
We have fans from all over who have written questions that they want to ask you.
Oh, dear.
And they're also going to get signed copies of the book. We're so excited.
Yeah.
So you ready to jump into some
Yes,
questions?
yes.
Hey, we're live at the live signing.
To my mind, the successful feeling at the end of a book is not that you have done everything you could with the book, but that you scratched the surface.
So it was a wonderful, it was a wonderful experience and a wonderful discipline in storytelling.
I'm going to start signing right now. I guess I'll sign in red. You know, red. I'm a Delta. Red.
Can you guys see that? See, he's a little smudge right there. So if you see a little smudge, that means Charles jumped on the book as I was signing it.
I don't mind doing signings because people really love a signed copy of a book. I know I do. I will sometimes sign a book to myself.
You were only 7 weeks old and ABC really wanted to get the new host in that seat and get things going. And I said, but I'm breastfeeding. And by the way, that was at a point like in 1979, coming up on 1980. You really weren't even allowed to say breastfeeding on the air.
I feel like this is something we kind of all need right now.
My life changed after my leg was broken in 1985. My world changed. I had the world by the tail. I had every material thing you could possibly hope for going for you in your life. And then all of a sudden, bang, in one instance, it was gone.
The only thing that matters is the love you give and the love you allow yourself to receive.
I'm healthier than I've ever been, only because I got healthy when I was like 40. Thank you so much.
Got it. Hi there. You probably recognize this guy. I'm Ned Rust. I'm his publisher, the James Patterson here, the #1 best-selling author in the world. And how about
Did you just make that up?
I did some research before I got here today.
We are doing my virtual live book signing.
Live book signing.
This is crazy.
More and more authors are doing this. I think it's so cool.
Signing some of the signed copies that you guys can get at premiercollectibles.com.
You're going to be signing these books live over the next 45 minutes.
Hey, what up, this your boy? I'm watching myself. Look at that. I need to stop.
If you're OCD, how is this panic-inducing to
They're
you?
not
Like
watching
all
anymore.
these.
They've got a bag.
Yeah.
They've got a bag.
I'm inspired by your success. What advice do you give someone who's never found his passion?
Hi, I'm Judge Janine Pirro. You probably heard of my book, Liars, Liberals, and Leakers. I may look like Greg Gutfeld, but I'm not. Actually, this is so exciting. My 8th book, The Gutfeld Monologues, is out. This is fantastic. If you haven't purchased it yet, you're dead to me. But you still have time to reanimate and become my best friend.
Biggest pet peeve? Men that talk to me with spinach in their teeth.
What can I do while at work to help lower my stress and improve my health?
One musician do you most admire?
I love you all, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Much love. See you.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll see you around the world. Woo!
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone here.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye, Mary.
See you in the morning.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Okay, we're live. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited. This is the first stop of the virtual book tour, which, hello, 2020. What universe are we living in? But thank you guys all for being here. Thank you to everybody who purchased a signed copy of Dandelion. And I know some people were asking, we do ship internationally, and it is not too late to get a signed copy. So, everybody feel free, and just know that during the stream, you can purchase at any point, and after the stream, you can get a signed copy. But we have a lot of questions that came in because it's you guys, and you're always the best and so enthusiastic and so supportive. So I brought along my friend Danny, and he's going to go through some of the questions with me. We're going to talk about the book, and I'm actually really interested, Danny, because we haven't really talked a lot about what we're going to be talking about. I don't know how this book reads to anybody that isn't me. So I'm really interested to hear what questions you have, what you're interested in digging into. So I'm going to throw it to Danny. Hi, Danny.
Yo, how's it going, world? Thanks everybody for tuning in. And I'm so grateful to be doing this with you. And I didn't realize you're actually a Choice Award nominated comedian as well as.
That was not a title I gave myself.
I know, but like I think a lot of people know you as a YouTuber, and it's like you're doing stuff, you're writing books, etc. That's epic.
Etc. Yeah. That should honestly just be my next album title. No, my artist name, I'm gonna change it to just etc.
Etc. Dude, that's a dope artist name.
Honestly, kind of, yes.
So this is a illustrated poetry book. When I read through it, it honestly took me back. Do you remember an old poet named Shel Silverstein?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that. My first book, Adult Lessons, was actually inspired by Shel Silverstein, and it was supposed to read like a Shel Silverstein but for adults. So yes, very familiar. I have all of his books, including an original printed copy in my bookshelf.
Oh, nice. Well, and so Where the Sidewalk Ends was one of his big books that I read as a kid, and the pictures they were so mesmerizing and so crazy and quirky, and that's what's really cool about your book is it comes with all these really neat pictures that are that take me back to that classic poetry.
Oh, thing. I'm so glad. That
makes
me so
and then
happy.
What about the gut-wrenching confessionals? You go sort of deep?
Yeah, I do go sort of deep, especially in the primary edition, which is this one, the one that you guys have, and the signed copy that is being talked about on this stream. It's one of those things where I get really actually pretty nervous. I've actually been really anxious about it, and I forgot about this feeling because I felt it during Adult Lessons. I feel it during some of my song releases, but there's stuff in this book that I've never spoken about. I've really not even alluded to, and it's really, really personal. And it's almost like I do this thing because my writing is my journal. This book is a journal. So I write it in a way that this makes me feel good. And I like the way that this helped me heal. But then it's not until it's being published that I'm like, oh shit, everybody else is going to see this too. The people I've written about are going to see it. And it's basically my secrets are out there now. So it's a little stressful.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you just tuning in, for the next hour, Gabby's of course going to be signing books and answering all your questions.
Should I start?
You should totally start signing books at the live signing of Dandelion. And you could purchase a book still and even submit a question. We're about to start taking questions. And when these new questions come in, I actually get them. And so I can give them to Gabby as well. And these books are at premiercollectibles.com/Dandelion. You can get a copy for you, for your homies, whatever. Gabby, want to dive into the questions. Anything else you need to cover, or should we start answering questions?
I don't think so. I think that we're ready to throw ourselves into this. And real quickly, there was one of the poems. The first poem in the book is called "Bloom." It's like me in high school when they're like, read the book, and I'm like, my favorite was the first one.
Yeah.
I totally read the whole thing.
I read the whole thing, but the first one really got me. Well, it actually did really get me because I really identified with it. Do you mind if I just read it and then we went straight to the questions? I wanted to hear anything you would have to say about it as well too, but it's called Bloom, and it says, I was 26 years old when I saw my first flower, and instead of rejoicing in its beauty, I mourned for all the years I was blind. Could you just maybe briefly, could share a little bit about that poem?
Sure, but I'm actually really interested in, before I say what it means to me,
Yeah?
what it means to you as somebody who doesn't know specifically what I
Yeah.
was writing about, because this is an experience
Yeah.
not a lot of people get to have.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked me that, because when I read it, I immediately thought, and because I've said this in my mind before, I was 17 when I first saw the night sky and the solar system. It was there the whole time, but I don't know. It's like my eyes weren't open. I never noticed it. And I noticed it for the first time. And it was also at a time where a lot of things were coming alive for me. So that's why this was special for me, as I went, whoa, somebody else has had this experience too. And
I'm actually really surprised to hear somebody else had it. I've never heard anybody else say it. So
yeah, me neither.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the beautiful thing about poetry and writing and sharing your art, when it really comes from a real place, is you can relate to the people who feel like they have nobody to relate to. And there's a certain sense of not feeling alone. For me now, having heard that, but hopefully also for you and anybody else. For me, that was written really about, there's two things. So there's this thing called tunnel vision. I speak about it in the way of CPTSD, which is a trauma response where you're pretty hyper focused on only things that are in front of you. And it's hard to stop and enjoy smaller things and notice the beauty in life, because when you're living in chaos, you don't have time to stop and experience flowers. And I think that's something that you're kind of raised with too. Like if you're raised to look at flowers and look at the sun and take advantage of those little moments and enjoy nature and enjoy what life has to offer. But if your mind isn't conditioned to do that, or if you're in a constant state of ready to, like, on the defense, I guess, then you don't acknowledge those things. So that moment for me, I was on a run and I noticed a flower and I was with somebody and I was like, oh my God, have you ever seen this flower before? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, no, this flower has to be something strange or exotic. And they said, no, dude, that's like a lily or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then that was when I really started first waking up and recognizing beauty and nature, and honestly started healing. But then the line about mourning for all the years I was blind kind of goes to my never-ending pessimism that I try to fight, but I'm always like, instead of just saying, wow, I found this flower, I was like, I believe I went my whole life without experiencing flowers.
Right.
So I wrote it as a way to try to remind myself, enjoy the little things, they matter.
Yeah.
And it's never too late. Very long-winded answer, sorry.
No, I mean, I really hope people don't just watch, but actually buy this book, because not just does the poetry, it made me go, whoa, someone else too. Like it lifted, like just reading it, like lifted this, like I'm the only one thinking this type of feeling. I feel alone, especially in the back when you get into your long form essays. Like I'm not, I could, if I had my way, we would just start reading through your entire book. We're not going to do that. We're going to go to questions. But those
I'm happy to. Let's just read it.
Those essays were so powerful. And even people who live internationally, like if you don't live in America, like you can get this book. And I mean, you talked about, just growing up and ADHD and what it's like to have, parents modeling certain things for you. You're not certain how you should be in the world. It's like a comfort book. I don't know how you pulled that off, but it's really special.
Thank you. And I'm really happy you brought up the essays, because those are the ones that I'm most anxious about, but also the ones that I'm most proud of. Yeah. I've always loved writing. I've always loved long form writing, but I've never had the confidence to put it out there into the world. So I knew that when I was doing this next book that I wanted to demonstrate some of that. And with the interviews and the journalists that I've spoken to so far, and literary critics, they're all talking about that part of it. So thank you for bringing it up. That is the part that I am most excited for people to read, and the part that I'm most excited to continue to do in the future. Because poetry for me was always my way of saying those things that I said in the back of this book in the primary edition, but was too afraid to let out too much information. and I would write poetry in these little tiny bite-sized nuggets. Like, this is a little bit of what I'm feeling, but I'm not going to tell you what it's about.
Yeah.
And a lot of the essays in the back of the book are directly correlated to a lot of the poems that I wrote before I was ready to really sit with myself and write out those experiences, because they're really painful experiences. And yeah, I don't know, I'm just excited.
Wow. And you you open it with stories I have to get drunk to tell. Now, if that is not the juiciest way to open a portion of a book, like when I read that, I was like, okay, I'm going to read all these. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad I picked the title then.
All right, let's launch into these questions. There's so many, and I want to do them justice because these people have bought your book and they're asking. Let's go to April from Stephenville, Texas. If you had a chance to collaborate with a makeup brand, would you?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely not somebody who is particularly knowledgeable or great about makeup. I know what I like. So I would definitely work with a brand that I know makes good products and I'm comfortable with, and then just kind of give them the things that I like from their brand. And then we could work on some of my favorite colors and products that have been useful for me. I think that'd be really great. If a makeup brand wants to work with me and they're watching, hey guys.
Adrena from Little Hayfield, Derbyshire. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? I love your fan base.
A superpower. If I could just have the ability to find a parking spot wherever I go and nail the park without having to back out and in a billion times,
yeah,
that'd be great.
That's so funny. Like, I'm thinking she's going to want to fly, I bet. She's a fly type. No, parking.
I can get in a plane, but I can't park for shit.
That's right. Austin from Hudson, Florida. Do you have any tips for songwriting? I love your lyrics, especially Energies in Full Rotation. I don't know why, but that lyric just seems so amazing to me.
So songwriting, it starts with ideas, obviously, and then I just have notepads and voice notes full of just bite-sized nuggets. Like, the first concept of that song was just bad karma in general. And then you just go to, okay, so what are some of the ideas around bad karma? How does it specifically apply to me? And then I just kind of start humming out melodies until something comes, and then hopefully something squishes together.
Squishes.
Yeah.
Good. Chris from Bristol, Connecticut. What advice would you give to someone who wants to do art as a career, whether it be a painter, a digital illustrator, a writer, poet, etc.?
I mean, this is something that I definitely need to take my own advice on, but you really just have to cancel out the noise. I definitely get caught up in it, and I definitely have a lot of imposter syndrome going on in my head, feeling like I'm not worth it or that I'm not good enough because other people are telling me that I'm not. But then at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself and say, am I creating something that's authentic? Am I creating something that is resonating with others? And that doesn't mean that it has to be on a large scale. You have to share it though. I think that's going to be my biggest piece of advice is you can be the best painter in the world. If you're hanging it in your basement, nobody's going to see it. So you have to really have confidence and faith in yourself and your ability, and know that you're not going to please everybody, but you're not creating for the people who don't like what you're doing. You're trying to find the people who do, and they will come as long as you're confident, you stand by your work, and you do not stop. There have been a lot of times where I've let people get in my head and tell me that I'm not talented, but then I just have to remind myself, oh, I mean, I am. And I think that if you're even somebody who's creating in general, you probably are a talented person, or at least a creative person, or at least a passionate person. And all of those things can lead to a career in art.
If somebody tells you you're not talented, you can flash those nails at them and be like, excuse me, these match my book. Thank you.
They do. And that wasn't even intentional, but
no,
hello.
That wasn't intentional.
Yeah. No, it was just spooky for Halloween.
Dude, that's killer. I thought for sure that was part of the plan. Rock on. Let's go to Axel from Morrilton, Arkansas. Would you ever get tattoos?
I was just thinking in the shower this morning about tattoos that I want. And I was talking to Peyton. Peyton's my boyfriend, for anybody who doesn't know, about how if anything ever happened to my cats, that I'd cover my body in tattoos of them. But I've honestly been really scared to get them because I'm such a fickle person, and I transform my style so often that I never know what I'm going to like in the future. And I think that the only way that I would get tattoos is if I draw them myself, because there's something about, I love other people's artwork, but something about having somebody else's work on my body that stresses me out. Because this is a little bit of tea. The last 2 tattoo artists that I was scheduled to get tattoos from ended up being like really bad people that like went to jail.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just really happy that I don't have their artwork on my body.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd get tattoos if they were my own illustrations.
You could
Which
boast
is
that you
kind
got
of-
a jailhouse
Go ahead.
tattoo.
I don't know if it'd be quite that.
All right, Addison from Elkton, Virginia. What's your favorite part about songwriting?
Oh, hearing what it sounds like produced. When I write my music, there's usually a little bit I hear sonically, excuse me, where I can hear a little bit of the production, or if I have a specific drum fill, or I know the vibe and the energy that I want. But at the end of the day, I'm not a producer, and my producer is a very, very talented songwriter as well, and artist as well. So hearing what she does with my sound and the way that I inspired her with my lyrics or my melody to create, that's exciting. I never know what my song is going to sound like until it's finished. And that's incredible to just have this little melody in your head and then hear it with drums and guitar and trumpets and production. And it's tasty.
I love that. Anna from Calgary, do you think you'll ever write books that are not poetry? I'd be interested in reading a novel or a thriller by you. You're an amazing storyteller.
Whoa.
Even if some people see it as an exaggerated truth, that's what storytelling is, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is what storytelling is. It's taking something pretty mundane and making it entertaining. And that's what I've always done on my channel, is taken, canceling a gym membership, and it wasn't easy and it was kind of annoying, and making it into an exciting to listen to thing. I think that I've always told myself that I wouldn't write long form until I really dove into writing these books, specifically this primary edition and the Barnes & Noble edition. They have long form writing in them. And I find that it's really fun for me, and I can really see my own influences in them. As far as writing fiction, that's something that would be pretty far in the future, because I would need to really study how to do it. I would need to study, how to structure a story, how to plot out a story, because I haven't done creative writing since high school, really, in that degree. So yeah, I think that in the future, but I think that you'd more likely see some type of confessional piece or something like that. Or it might be something that I would collaborate with somebody who is an actual writer, and then not have them ghostwrite it, but really create it together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like a collab piece.
Yeah, and it would be, if I ever did something like that, it would be, what's it called? Credited like that. Like it would be by Gabby Hanna and this person.
Yeah, yeah. Is signing going okay? Or are you any hand cramps yet?
No, I've signed like 10.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. I've already signed like, I think 2,000 off camera. And this is like kind of for show, but.
That's funny. Bailey from Boonville, New York. Have you ever thought about selling your artwork?
Somewhat. I'm really good with 2D illustration. As far as painting and the technical side of art, I haven't practiced enough to feel confident in selling it. I gave away a couple of my paintings as incentives to pre-order, but I don't think that I would charge somebody right now, if that makes sense. I would have to really put in the time and work and feel confident about what I'm doing. I think in the future, it is something that I'm very interested in. And I've also been getting really into graphic design and working a lot on that. So I think that I'm going to be selling artwork very soon, but probably through a clothing line, and kind of like pulling an Ed Hardy, if that makes sense. Not that I could ever, listen, people sleep on Ed Hardy. He was actually an incredible artist and very passionate about what he does. But besides the point, I could see myself selling my artwork through other mediums until I become a skilled painter, for example.
Ash from Bristow, Virginia. As a perfectionist, when do you feel or see something as, quote, completed or finished, end quote?
Usually when it makes me cry is when I get there. My producers specifically I drive them fucking insane because I hear these little tiny things where I'm like, no, 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 don't you hear this here? And they say no. And I say, okay, well, you need to raise it about 4 decibels or whatever it is.
Sure.
And I really do get really picky, especially with a song that's really emotional for me. Like Special is one of my songs that I think I had 90 different mixes on that song because I wanted it to be perfect. I needed to have the feeling that I wanted. And this next one that I'm putting out this month, hey everybody, I'm putting out a song this month, surprise. That one I've been working on for 2.5 years. I think we've done maybe 30 mixes of it. And I finally got a mix back that I laid in my bed, I put my pillow over my head and I put my headphones in, and it made me start like sobbing. Not because it's a sad song, but because it felt complete and impactful, and it made me feel like a star. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but when I saw it in my head, I was like, oh my God, if I would have seen somebody performing this song when I was in high school, I would have fucking loved them. So it's mostly a feeling thing.
Did you just announce for the first time a new release? Is that what just happened?
Low key, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that just happened. Okay.
October is a big month.
Yeah, apparently. That's awesome. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right, Kristen from Green Bay, Wisconsin. What was your favorite color you've done in your hair, and what do you still want to try?
I think blonde is my best color aesthetically. I think it looks good on me. I think that magenta was the one that felt the most natural and that I could probably see myself going back to, magenta natural. I think I've tried everything. I've done yellow, green, purple, blue. Ooh, I do want to try just all over to the root, a super vibrant royal blue. I think that'd be really fun.
That sounds dope.
Yeah.
Caitlin from New York asks, which poem in the book was the hardest emotionally to write and why?
I mean, there were a lot of them that brought me to tears. A lot of them were written on my Patreon first. Like I use my Patreon to kind of like sad blog if I'm feeling emotional and I need to get something out of my system. I go there and I write out a blog that I later turn into a poem. So I'm usually writing when I am already feeling pretty emotional. But the one called Assault obviously was really difficult. And I wouldn't even say that that one is the most, technically compelling, and it doesn't rhyme or anything like that, but it was a hard experience to write about and something that I've never been open about before. So probably that one, but all of them are emotional to me because I wrote them when I was emotional. I never sit down and say, I need to write a poem today. With the first book I did because I was given a really tight deadline. With this book, I started writing it before my first book was even out. So I really gave myself the time to write only when I wanted to. I didn't sign a contract. I didn't set a date. So they're all pretty emotional because they all came from the pure need to get my emotions out.
Ella from New South Wales asks, where was your favorite place to tour or perform and why?
Okay, here's the thing, guys. I need you to all understand that I love everybody equally and I love all parts of the country. However, Australia has an amazing special place in my heart. So does the UK, but Australia is really special to me because I landed in Australia for the first time, and people were singing my song that wasn't even out in America yet. It had hit Australia first because of time zones. So I landed and they greeted me at the airport singing my song. And I was like, oh my God, was my song leaked? And they were like, no, bitch, it's out. What are you talking about? And then that was also the first place I saw my first book in person because it was sent to Australia for VidCon first. So I walked into this panel and it was a room full of people, and a couple hundred people held up my book that was sold at VidCon and I'd never seen it. And I was like, can I touch that? So Australia is special to me. It was my first live performance. It's the first time I heard my song not in my notes app, and it was the first time I saw my book in person.
Brianna from Clarksville, Tennessee, are any of your songs based off poems that you have written?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, promoting other versions of the book. The targeted version actually is full of unreleased song lyrics that were written directly from a poem. I have a lot, actually. Most of my songs start as poetry, and then I keep the small poetry-sized bits of them in the book, but then wrote them into full-fledged songs. But I think the most poetic one is probably Stoneheart, which isn't out yet, but I've sang it on my story 20 times at this point. That one is lyrically probably my favorite and most compelling.
Brianna from Endicott, New York, what's your favorite poem in the book other than Dandelion? It's hard to pick a favorite, I bet.
Dandelion, actually, here's a fun fact about Dandelion, the poem. It was written completely different. That is not the poem that Dandelion was. And then I wrote the song, and then I went back and I changed the poem to the lyrics of the song because it was better. Like, point blank.
Wow.
One of my favorites is called Necro, Checkmate, and I don't know, there's a lot in there that Mourning, Mourning. So those are probably three that come to the top of my mind.
Charlene from Burleson, Texas, what is one thing that allows you to instantly connect or relate to someone?
I love when people are just completely authentically them, no matter what emotion they're feeling. You can really sense when somebody is being authentic with you and genuine. And I like when people aren't putting on a show. Like, if you don't small talk with me, I'm going to love you forever. And some of my best friends, I feel like I didn't learn about where they grew up until 3 months into our friendship, because our conversations were always so natural that we were talking about real things, real feelings, or our favorite music, our favorite books. And then eventually it's like, wait, where did you grow up? Because you realize you know this person so well, but those little facts about, like, oh, where'd you go to high school? Did you go to college? What did you get your degree in? Those things to me don't tell a lot about a person. So I think probably that.
Yeah. Brianna from Madison Heights, Michigan, what are you most passionate about?
I mean, I have a lot of passions, but I think that any type of creative art is, I'm very, very, very passionate about songwriting and singing, but I'm also very passionate about the actual video planning aspect of it and coming up with those concepts. Obviously, I'm very passionate about writing and poetry, and now the long form writing that I'm starting to do. So I think it really just comes down to art and writing.
Kayla from Austin, Texas, how do you move past writer's block or a creativity drought?
That's tough, because I put myself in this situation of allowing myself to take the time, and I get questions like that all the time of people asking me about writer's block, but I don't force myself to write when I don't want to. And I try my best to not put myself in a situation where I have to write. Like, I never sat down and told myself, okay, you need to write 10 poems today. I let them write themselves, and then I sign the contract. When it comes to music, I don't go into a session and say, okay, guys, what are we going to write about today? I write a song, and then I go to the studio most of the time.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to point out about this book, really cool. I noticed that there's a poem that you you need a mirror to read it, right? Like, it's written backwards, and I tried to read it just like right in the book, and I couldn't. And I thought I would be smarter than that. And I can read backwards. You need a mirror to read the thing.
You can actually turn the page, and the mirror is on the other side. You can.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it goes through the page.
Okay, so that poem it's backwards on one page. You turn the page, and it's printed the right way on the other side.
Are you talking about the one through the door?
Yes.
Yes, there's actually another one where the reflection is mirrored into a puddle underneath it too. So we did a lot with that. I actually need to give my book designer credit for that choice. Chance Bone, he's such an incredible book designer, and he's also an illustrator himself. That's how I found him, is he illustrated a book that I love, and then I followed him on Instagram, and then I somehow convinced him to mentor me on illustrating my own book.
Wow.
And then so I gave him my illustrations, but as far as the way a lot of it is laid out and the way the poems or the illustrations play with the words, the way they're placed on the page, I would say that at least 50% of that is his mind at work too.
Wow. But you did all the drawings.
Yeah, the illustrations are mine.
Whoa, those are proper, like, cartoon artist level drawings.
Thank you. My first book, I'm not as proud about those drawings because I had never done it before. I literally illustrated that book having not drawn since high school. And I was like, oh, fuck it. I guess I'm going to do it myself. With this book, again, I was able to really take the time and practice and perfect. And I didn't have that deadline that was so looming on the first one. I'm actually really proud of the illustrations in this. So thank you for noticing.
Oh man, they're so good. And do you mind taking a moment and showing a couple? Of course,
Sure.
I have the digital version. Otherwise, I'd show some of my favorites.
Did anything stand out to you that I should show? I like this one a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that stood out, actually.
That's one of the not as detailed ones. Let me see what flips out. They're just playful. Like this one, it's hard to see through the camera, but it's like a balloon.
Yeah,
It's a
anything.
balloon.
Love the black space on that one, and of course, anything provocative, or that I would consider provocative, always sticks out to me. Things that are edgy.
Target made me take out the nudes. They made me crop them.
No.
Like this one, they made me crop. I had all their vaginas in it, but they weren't into it.
They're like, this is Target,
really
sweetheart.
Yeah. I'm really happy with my comics because in the first book I had comics, in this one I also do, but the comics, the characters changed the meaning of it because, okay, here's something I don't know a lot of people know about the book. The comics are also, they're real conversations I had. So if somebody said something to me in a conversation that stuck out and I liked the way the banter went, I wrote it into cartoon format, but then I created the characters to say them for me. Like this one's a caterpillar and a butterfly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Were you in some of the because there's other body imagery in the book that you drew? Is those I didn't get it because some of those were towards the back, and I didn't get a chance to match the poem with that. Or do the poems match that imagery? Is what's happening with some of those?
I'm trying to think of specifically what. Oh, you mean just like the naked ladies?
Yeah, there's several different forms.
So a lot of the illustrations were drawn specifically for a poem. Other illustrations were just drawings that I wanted to do. Like I knew that I wanted to represent different types of beauty in the book. So I drew women of different body shapes and sizes and ethnicities, and I didn't have a place for them in the book. I just knew that I wanted representation in my book so that if somebody who's younger or a teenager or a young adult picks up the book and looks at it, they see a woman with big curly hair. They see a woman with really small boobs. They see a woman with uneven boobs. They see a woman with a big belly. They see a woman that's super tiny. So those ones specifically don't have a poem. The book designer just placed them in places that
but it was cool to see because you could almost expect to see the Instagram perfectly crafted drawing of bodies, but you chose to draw real bodies, and real people are going to be buying your book. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, like, for example, like, I don't care saying this. Sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, Danny. Like, my boobs are very uneven, and it's something that I was really insecure about for so much of my life because I never saw it. And I thought that it was this thing that I needed to be ashamed of and hide and try to wear bras and shirts that would make me look more symmetrical when I'm just not. So I wanted to make sure that there was a woman in there who had asymmetrical boobs. Or, I know a lot of women feel really insecure about having really flat chests. So I wanted to make sure that there was somebody with little tiny boobs that, weren't this big, voluptuous, sexy body. So I think all of the bodies drawn are sexy. We just need to teach our young people that they are sexy as well.
Yeah, and I so love that and so appreciate you doing that. Just so you know, my nose is crooked. And I've been self-conscious. I've been self-conscious about mine was broken in the 9th grade, and we were single mom and I were just too broke to get it fixed. And there it remained. And so I love vulnerability and honesty about body image and things. That's so powerful that you're doing that. And
I haven't noticed your nose, if it makes you feel better.
It does.
No, but nobody's thinking about your nose. I promise you, not a single person on the stream was like, damn, that Danny guy's nose.
Well, also wanted to point out, wherever you are in the world, you can get this book, right? International sales. I mean, that's really special.
I'm really very happy about that because obviously when the pandemic hit and it was pretty obvious I wasn't touring this year. And this was a year that I was really excited to tour. I wanted to tour my music. I wanted to tour the book. But the silver lining of it is I've never been able to get signed copies internationally. And it makes me really happy that I can do that. And I've gotten so many requests over the years of, can you please do something internationally? I'd love a signed copy. And now I can for my babies over in Australia and New Zealand and India and everywhere else.
And for those babies in Australia, New Zealand, etc., you can get the book at premiercollectibles.com/Dandelion. You can leave a question for Gabby, of course. And it is a collectible special edition with a certificate of authenticity, which basically means it's her real signature. There's not stamped printed copies. It's her authentic signature. So this is
that on my signature too, because my signature looks different every time, depending on the angle, how fast I'm going, if I'm sober. I have a lot of signatures.
Her signature is like a mood ring. You can actually know her state as she signed. Whoa, she was fighting with her boyfriend on this one. Clearly some jagged edges.
Never that.
Oh, man. All right, let's go back to these questions. Kayla from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. What song of yours means the most to you and why?
Oh, man. The thing is with my music, like they really do all mean so much to me because all of them were important in helping me heal from something. I don't know if people think I'm like lying when I say that, but that's really how I get over stuff. But I think that the song Happy that I wrote for my current boyfriend is really special to me. But the other song, Stone Heart, here's a little sneak peek of the story behind Stone Heart.
Yes, please.
That was written about, and that's actually the lyrics are in this book as well. That was written the day that I met my current boyfriend, and it's about trying to move on from a really toxic, emotionally abusive relationship. And we had been broken up, but I was still really kind of dealing with the fallout and trying to get over it. You know, getting over breakups, we all do it. And then I went into the studio and I was trying to find my last lyric and I couldn't fill in the second verse. And then it hit me and I was laying on the floor with my friend Ellie and I just started like sobbing when I wrote that lyric. And then my producer took her headphones off and turned around and goes, I hear crying, it must be good.
Oh, man.
So then I wrote Stone Heart. I had almost canceled my date with my current boyfriend because I was so emotional and I had a migraine and I just wasn't in a place to meet anybody. And then I left that session saying, I feel like I really needed this to move on and completely put this other guy in the past. Went on that date and here we are over a year later, happily ever after.
So cool. Katie from London, what was your biggest fear when you were a child and is it different now?
I think my biggest fears as a child were probably a little bit more, actually, no, I actually do remember having this fear for a long time. I was always worried because somebody had said like, oh, you know, crazy people, they never know they're crazy or something like that. And it stuck with me. And then I was always nervous that my reality wasn't the same as everybody else's. And then as I grew up, I feel like I was really leaning into confirmation bias and looking for reasons to believe that I was insane. And then obviously when there's people, when you're in the public eye, people are judging your character and saying who you are, whether you are or you're not. And then you just spend all day, you know, second, triple guessing yourself and reliving every shameful or embarrassing moment in the fear that you aren't who you think you are and that you're a monster and you don't know it. So I feel like that's always been a very underlying fear, but then I'm also afraid that I'm going to accidentally do something. As this is my adult fear, but I feel like I was always anxious like this. I always have a fear that I'm going to hurt myself in some way that doesn't make sense. Like if I start the garbage disposal, am I just going to stick my hand in it without thinking? Or if I was fixing a roof, would I jump off of it just without thinking? And it's this really weird anxiety of course, I'm not going to stick my hand in the fucking garbage disposal. I'm so afraid of pain. But what if for some reason I just do?
Yeah, that is
you
so
just learn
crazy.
a lot about me.
That is so crazy. You're saying that. I will be driving down the road and I'm like, okay, just confirm that I'm a psychopath because I have this fantasy about jerking the wheel off of the, like, not that I would do it, but it's like, what if I did? It's that same thing.
I
like,
think about that too.
Yeah, like, what if I did? And who would stop me if I had that impulse? Like,
and do you ever get one of my actual paralyzing fucking fears? It's one of the reasons I very rarely drive. I'm so afraid of accidentally killing somebody. I would say that's my greatest fear is like, for some reason, I just blow through an intersection and hit a family or hit a stroller and then kill somebody, ruin an entire family's life. And then I have to live with that guilt for the rest of my life. I don't know why I think about that all the time.
Yeah. We must have grown up around.
Buy my book.
So the book. So the book. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Danny?
Just the manic reasons why we do what we do. Who can understand these things? You know, maybe we had similar trauma as children. Who knows?
But it's also so much more common than you'd think, and that's something I'm learning more as I've been kind of living in a bubble for a while of like entertainment. You know what I mean? But as I talk to more people in like the artists and writing and literature side, I find that a lot more people are like me than I thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of this book, you know, that's what struck me the most, is it was this comforting message that you are not alone. If I could summarize
really
Dandelion.
Thank you. That's
beautiful.
really, really a sweet thing to say.
Yeah. Jessica from Akron, Ohio. What are some things you do to help your mood when you're feeling in a funk? Love you.
I play with my cats. That definitely always cheers me up. But this is probably not a healthy habit, but I really throw myself into work and try to be productive because I always feel really good when I finish something. But it's also leaning into my workaholic tendencies. So I probably need some healthier coping mechanisms, and I really need to practice mindfulness and meditation, which is something that I've been really procrastinating on, is meditation. Because I know that it's not going to be so good for me, but I just always have an excuse of I'm too busy. I don't have time to deal with all of the things that I'm trying to not think about right now. But yeah, right now it's just trying to be creative.
Yeah, love it. Taylor from Missouri, if you could collab with any artist, who would it be?
Oh my God, I have so many artists that I love. I've actually exchanged a couple DMs with somebody who I love his work. If you don't know Landon Tours, he's from a band named A Plot in You, but he also has solo work. His solo work is so amazing to me. Peyton's more a fan of the band work that he does, but love him. Obviously, I absolutely love Brendan Urie and would love to work with him. If I could ever do anything in any capacity with Bo Burnham, my life would be, I'd give up. I wouldn't need to do anything else again. If I could I love Bad Flower. That's a band that I'm super into right now. Yeah, I mean, I love so many different artists and different genres, so I could probably sit here and list names for like an hour. Black Bear, I'd love to do something with Black Bear.
So cool. Jason from Arkansas, what are some few key takeaways you would like your fans to know about your book, Dandelion? By the way, love you and keep inspiring all of us.
Some takeaways. I don't know. Just read it with an open mind and enter it knowing that you can read it in a lighthearted way, or you can read it in more of a deep way, and just that you're really not alone in what you're feeling. And that's what I really hope resonates with people, is like how you're saying, like, oh, I didn't know anybody ever felt like this. I hope that there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah. Josh from Auckland, England, did you want to put things in the book that you couldn't?
Yeah. I definitely had to delete some stuff. I did send the essays to my siblings and I asked them how they felt about it. And there was some stuff that I was asked to remove, and I happily obliged. There are some poems that I took out because they were a little too heavy, and they were a little too, it made others look bad, and I didn't want to do that.
Sure. Riley from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. What is the biggest
Pennsylvania, what up?
What up? What is the biggest lesson you have learned this year?
Oh, it's one I'm still learning and have been learning and will continue to try to learn. The universe keeps throwing it in my face and I keep ignoring it or learning it briefly and then forgetting. So hopefully this time it sticks. You have to learn to be okay with people not knowing your side of the story, and not everything deserves an explanation. Not everything deserves a defense. And sometimes you just have to be okay with people having a narrative about you that you don't feel is true, or you have to be okay with being misrepresented, and you have to be okay with not being liked by everybody. And I've always really sought validation from others. And I'm sure that all goes back to it all goes back to our childhood, right? So I've always just really wanted to be liked. And in trying to be liked, I just was hurting myself by not being authentic to myself and focusing on the things that truly matter to me. You get really wrapped up in how others perceive you instead of who you actually are. So it's an ever-going journey and battle that I'm sure for forever I'm going to have to remind myself that.
Jessica from Torrance, California. Which film, TV, or book character do you identify with the most, and why?
Oh my God. It obviously varies depending on where I am in my life. I relate a lot to Alexander Hamilton, which is
okay,
very bold to say, but the way that like the Reynolds pamphlet, for example, he basically fucked up his own life by responding to a rumor that he didn't have to breathe life into, and that it wouldn't have become his legacy had he not done that. So I relate to him in a lot of ways, and also just that, ever going grind, needing to be working all the time because you need to fill your days with something. Like, he was constantly writing, he was constantly trying to reach a higher goal. So hopefully I can learn from some of his mistakes in the future so that I don't become a lot of what he did, which he's obviously contributed a lot to the world and is also a very admirable figure. So not completely negative to be associated with. I'm trying to think. There was one specific. I watched The Prestige recently, and I really related with that whole story because just their whole, like, this person was obsessed with this person, and because that person was obsessed, this person also became obsessed, and they spent so much of their life just going back and forth at each other, because it's like, I'm only doing this because you won't stop fucking with me. And then obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know how it ends.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different characters depending on where I am in life.
must watch movie The Prestige. It is so good, of the psychosis they spiral into to their own destruction. And right?
Relatable.
Yeah. Relatable AF. All right, let's see how many of these next couple questions, because we are so close to time, but I want to see how many of these we can knock out, because I know these people want to ask. So Emily from Oklahoma, what are you most proud of, your music or your books? Either way, I love them both.
I mean, that's like picking between your two children. I think that probably, if I had to pick one, I'd say music, just because my poetry is in my music, if that makes sense. So I can have the best of both worlds in that. But there's something about holding a book and reading something and adding your own emphasis to it and reading into it the way you want, and then also seeing the way that the illustrations play with the pages. I don't know, there's something special about, there's something nostalgic about books, Yeah,
for sure. Samantha from Bolivia, North Carolina, I battle depression pretty badly some days. How do you calm the storm when it's a Category 5?
Well, first of all, sorry that you're dealing with that. I hope that you are taking steps to really better yourself and going to therapy. And I know it's really, really scary. I didn't go until I was 25 or 6. So it's hard to get there. Please get there if you're not. But try to channel that into something. My whole life motto is make your tragedies a work of art. And this book wouldn't have been written if it wasn't for my depression, my anxiety, my PTSD, my ADHD, my OCD. If I didn't have those things, I wouldn't have been able to write music. So there is something there. And whether it's something creative, maybe you're not a creative person, maybe you don't consider yourself particularly talented in that field, there's always something you're good at. And if you don't know what it is, ask somebody else. If you say, what's my best trait? And somebody says, you're always so thoughtful of others, then you need to throw all of your time into volunteering. If you're very intelligent, then you need to throw all of your time into trying to find a solution for a problem that will better the world in some way or contribute in some way. Just take all of that pain and focus it into something. Because something that I've found in life is that the people who get the farthest in life are the people who have something to get the farthest from. So just keep going.
Diago from Setúbal. What are the artists you listen to the most?
Right now, oh my God, Creeper. I found this new band that if you're a My Chemical Romance fan, please, please, please check out Creeper's new album. Be My End, Cyanide, and I forget, Annabelle. I really love those
Wow.
three. Very good. Listen to Landon Tours. Listen to, who else am I listening to a lot? I've been listening to rock a lot more lately, which I don't know how I got out of it because I've grown up in rock. I've always loved rock, but I feel like because I was making pop music, I was listening to a lot more pop. But check out those ones. And Bad Flower.
Morag from Salisbury, Wiltshire. Has Peyton helped you with any of the poems?
He proofreads everything. He also has an illustration in here. He signed it really tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, Peyton definitely has told me what's up, and he's suggested that I cut certain ones or that I need to keep working. And I also send them to like my music producers because she's an author as well. And obviously my book designer is also a very creative person. But Peyton drew this illustration. It's hard to see through the camera, but it's like, you know, when you go somewhere and you put a pin, but he did it that says help. So that's 100% Peyton's accent.
That's so cool. Okay. Can we get 22 questions done in 2 minutes? Do you think you've got what it takes? Gabby
I
Hanna.
don't know. I'm very long-winded. Let's see.
Okay, let's see if we can fly through these because we're so close here.
Okay.
Where were you born?
Newcastle, Pennsylvania.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Maya Rudolph.
What was your first job?
Ice cream shop.
What is your biggest fear?
Being crazy and not knowing it.
Who makes you laugh the most?
Peyton.
What's one thing you need to have in your fridge at all times?
Watermelon.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
This book.
Yay. What is the most interesting, who is the most interesting person you met recently?
I haven't met anybody. We're in a pandemic. I
Nice.
feel like I haven't really met anyone new.
What is your middle name?
Jeanette.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
Loud chewers.
What is the last book you read?
Dandelion.
Yeah, it is. What is your favorite hobby?
Probably drawing.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh my God, I have so many reality TV, too much of it.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Oh, you can't see it, but I do this thing with my fingers. It'll take too much time.
All right, well, next on your social media then, we need to see this.
Okay.
What color is your toothbrush?
I have 3. I have a pink one, a green one, and a blue one.
Heard that. That's a little insight right there. What is your secret snack?
Watermelon with tahini.
Tahini, speak my language.
Very good. But hey, this is in Gabby's Snack Hacks. If you pre-order the book, which you still can pre-order the book, you get a book of my secret snack recipes that are actually the most insane, delicious combos of all time. You have to add a little bit of time onto the clock because I was promoting Dandelion. But for real, you want that Snack Hacks book. Trust me, it'll change your life.
Dude, sounds epic. How do you take your coffee?
With cinnamon roll creamer.
Where can people go to get an autographed collectible copy of your book, Dandelion?
I think that you could go to livesigning.com/Dandelion. Did I say that right?
You can go to premiercollectibles.com/Dandelion to get your autographed limited edition copy of Gabby Hanna's new poetry book with essays in the back, complete with stuff that you might even have to get too drunk to read because she had to get drunk to write it. Next question, what is the last movie you saw in theaters?
Oh my God. Probably, oh my God, it just won an Oscar and it was, 1928 or 1918. What was it, 1918 or 1928?
It's 19 something. 14?
The one that was a one-take movie, that was the last one I saw.
I saw
Parasite too.
That's the last one I saw. Not Parasite, but the 1940, whatever it was. It was shot on 40 millimeters. That's why we're saying 40. Anyways, what causes?
I did not know that.
What cause is dear to your heart?
What was it?
What cause is dear to your heart?
Making food that is healthy, affordable, and accessible to underprivileged families.
What is number one on your bucket list?
Making Dandelion a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. Where do you want to go that you've never been?
I'd love to go to Alaska, but I also really want to go to Hawaii.
And that's all the time we have, Gabby. And to order Gabby's limited edition autographed collectible book, of course, go to premiercollectibles.com/dandelion. And to be a part of the live signing experience with more of your favorite authors, follow Premier Collectibles on Instagram or Facebook. Gabby, anything closing for your friends who've tuned in?
Just thank you for being here. Thank you for your support through everything. Thank you for supporting my music and the book. And I really genuinely could not do any of this shit without you. So you are the reason that I have everything I have. I love you.
Yay. And from all of us at Premier Collectibles to you, Gabby, thank you so much for being here. It was so fun.
Of course. Thank you, Danny, for coming and moderating this. And thank you to Live Signing for giving me the opportunity.
Talk soon, everybody. Bye.
Hi.
I am sitting here with the one and only Jackie Chan, global superstar, and he is signing all of these books. Are your hands tired?
No, tired, but I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
so
really
happy
happy.
to hear that.
How do you feel? Good. I'm excited. This is the first time I've done something like this before, a live signing.
Where do I want to go that I've never been? Oh, we're thinking about, not thinking, we're putting it in motion. I'm going to go to Indonesia on my Irresponsible tour this year. I'm excited about that. I've never been. And there's been a heavy demand for me there. So we're going to go. We're going to go to Indonesia and I'm going to make people laugh in Indonesia. That's how I roll. How do you roll? I can't make this up. Wayne, you got your Indonesia pants? I decided it about a good 3 weeks ago. You'll see it on the schedule soon, so I suggest you go get your pants for Indonesia, because you're not going to wear them stupid pants. Where do you think Indonesia is? India. Yes, we out.
You can see that I'm signing it. This is not some machine scribbling my name. This is my actual human body scribbling my name. So, all right, there we go. First book, signed.
Biggest pet peeve? Men that talk to me with spinach in their teeth.
What can I do while at work to help lower my stress and improve my health?
One musician do you most admire?
I love you all, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Much love. See ya.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll see you around the world. Woo!
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone here.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye, Mary.
See you in the morning.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna go get drunk.